Where am I going with all this? How do I record this without looking so serious? Back to Human is just an invitation to go back to the essence, to simplicity. And this was born 3 years ago. 3 years ago, yeah, that's when I started reconnecting with my art again. I migrated from Mexico to France, and it was not easy. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, really, and I'm not gonna get too much into details of the migration process other than it has been so hard. So hard. Everything I'm doing comes from there. That's where the story begins. My decision of starting over in a new country, in France, and trying to adapt to a new culture that I wouldn't describe as very welcoming, fighting that urge to go back to my comfort zone, to my safe place, back home with my family. But in reality, I didn't want to do that. I was going through the process of adapting, and I don't think that ever ends. I don't think there is an end point to adapting fully, because my roots and my background is not here. But I do believe that the path becomes easier when you do the work and when you recognize that you cannot do it alone. So that's me finding myself in this migration process, going through loss of my old self, trying to find who I am in this new country with new people, a new language, a new culture, and then going through the grief of losing my grandmother, the first person that was so close to me, a loved one that passed away, and I couldn't go to Mexico, so I had to go through the grieving process here. And it was really hard. That's when everything went to shit. Literally, like, I was in my lowest, I hit rock bottom. I was going also through a process of detaching myself from beliefs, like religion mainly. I grew up in a Christian background, a Christian family, and now I'm so grateful for it, but I fought that for a long time, and I wanted to find my own path, my own truth, which I did. And I know now that the truth will change as I grow old, as I mature, and I have made peace with it. But at that point, I was so not in that space. I was so mad, so angry, so lost. I was in a lot of pain, battling depression. But through all that, in that chaos, my art found me again. And I remember who I was. And I remembered what I was meant to do. I don't believe like we just have one purpose. I do believe that we can experience this life through in many ways. But I am an artist. I always wanted to be an artist, to go to art school. I didn't, but now I was in this space that nothing made sense to me anymore. I was so sad, so depressed. Um, I couldn't find the strength to wake up in the morning and go to my school. I was learning French at that time, and so I was like really lost. And I had to sit down and hear myself out and my cry for help. So through all that, the the loss, the grief, the breakdown, my body and my spirit were so disconnected, and I had to go back to, I had to return to myself. That's where this message came to me of going back to being human, because I was so overwhelmed with all the information that was out there, and self-help books and this and that and social media, and it was too much. And I didn't realize at the time, but when I did, it was to realize that I needed to sit down and listen to myself and sit with the uncomfortable, and to recognize, okay, it's okay, it's okay, you are fine, you are still here. And that's where I started to paint again, out of pain, of grief, because I didn't have any other way to do it at that moment. And I felt so free into that space of reconnecting with my brushes, my paints, the canvas, the paper. I started writing again, poetry, singing, just diving in so deep into my artistic self, into my creativity, and stuff started to come out. And so I decided to give it a go. That's where I started to dedicate time to find my art style. I did so many paintings, so many sketches. I tried many different styles. And it's true that you don't find it just like that. It takes time. You need to put in the work, and I did. And I did. So Back to Human is as simple as an invitation to go back to simplicity, to find our own voice when there is too much chaos outside, and remind ourselves that we are having a human experience that is limited. Time is precious, and what we want to do with it. And I'm creating this whole universe to connect with people that are looking for the same. And so this was my new beginning, to go back to the art, to paint, to illustrate. And this collection was born. This is my first collection, and the title is Back to Human. And I know that this is like a more biomorphic project. It has its own life, and I'm just the vessel, I'm just the messenger, and I'm just gonna let it grow as much as it wants. I want to remind people that Everyone is creative in their own way. Creativity is within us, and it's as important to feed it as we feed the body, as we eat, as we sleep, as we connect with other human beings. Creativity should be a necessity. It is a necessity, and that's what I want to achieve in sharing in a fun and simple way. My most recent work that wraps all this collection, it's a coloring book that I was working on a project of 40 days. And this is a coloring book that has the paintings. I did them in line art so they can be colored. Coloring was my favorite activity when I was a kid. I used to love coloring. I wanted to bring something for people other than visual art. I wanted to create something that people could interact with. And so this is the whole collection. I'm gonna start, this is video 1 of the series that I'm going to start sharing here, talking about the paintings, what they mean, the message and everything. And so that's the main idea, the general idea, the core message of what it means, what the project means, what the message is of going back to the human. And I always ask the question of what makes you feel human. What makes me feel human is to create, to connect, and everything that I've been through, that migration process, the loss and the grief, the pain, brought me here to understand how important it is, especially in this time, to create in community, to connect, to seek help. And I didn't want all this just to fall into another project unfinished or forgotten. It took me time to create. It's so precious to me, and so I want to share it and to connect with others that are looking for something similar, that are maybe tired of the noise, the outside noise. My intention is to release more videos of the creative process, the paintings and everything I have been creating, and to start documenting my journey. It's important to have all this tangible so I can see it in the future and know how much I have grown. So welcome to this universe of mine that I have been shaping with a lot of love, and I know my people will find me. I just have to stop struggling, to stop fighting. But I'm finally here, and that's what matters.